Welcome, everybody, to the Loud and Drunk podcast. This is Dan, your host, your guide, your producer. Call me whatever you like. Just don't call me between 4 and 5. That's Dan's time. Joined again by the master of disaster, the Sean Avery of this podcast, deep cut for you New York Rangers fans out there. Moses, how you doing, buddy? We're going to be on the hot seat in this episode, so are you prepared to deal with that?
It's a hot time this summer in the city.
Yeah.
Dare I say the back of my neck is getting burnt and gritty.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be the humid seat either, so at least we got that going for us.
I am hot, sticky, and sweet.
Wow. I hate you. No one wanted to hear that.
All right, Def Leppard.
Well, they're all deaf now.
And if we have a Sean Avery on the podcast, then we have a Martin Brodeur, the level of consistency, the person who brings order in this madness, in this chaos. Justin, how you doing, sir?
You know what? Thank you for that little attachment there. I'll take it. I'm well. I'm doing good. Yeah, full bellies. Got a couple shots in me now. I'm ready for this podcast. Let's get her done.
And I am Alvin Dark, former team captain for the San Francisco Giants. Happy to be following up here as the fourth leg on that journey on the note of sports and such like that. From the previous guests that we've had, I was very happy to see my other teammates being on this podcast previously. You guys can all call me Blackie. That was my nickname back when I was still in the game. Been a lot of years now. A lot of years since 1971, I'll tell you that.
Can we?
Yeah, absolutely. I gave you the pass.
Well, then abuse it, gentlemen.
And
you don't get a lot of
just
these.
happy to be here. Excited for this hot seat action, whatever that is. Something about a city, humidity, cat scratch fever. I'm not sure, but yeah, just happy to be here.
Oh, we might just call you Ted Nugent for that one.
There you go.
But before we get going, summer's here and the time is right for stopping by TrueJersey.com. From t-shirts, hats, and hoodies, True Jersey will show off your local pride like no other. And now, Loud and Drunk listeners can save 10% off their first order. Just go to TrueJersey.com and enter the code LOUD at the checkout to save 10%. True Jersey, stay true. And also thank you to True Jersey for sponsoring the podcast.
Yes, thank you very much.
I love eating there.
They got us the most wonderful curtains. It's lovely.
These are nice curtains. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We changed up a little bit of the studio to the audience. Hopefully, you
Hope
hear
you
a little
can
bit of
see
a
it.
difference. But if it's not a visual component, there's no visual component.
Can
yet,
they
Moses.
see me right now, though?
The only reason I do these drugs is for the visuals.
Well, I mean, if it was visual, we would have a technical difficulty graphic at the ready
Yeah.
for when somebody says Blackie to you, and then it's just gonna go
That
like
is my nickname.
it's not,
Listen,
it's-
you never played professional ball. I did.
that
Yeah, no. What do you have to say to that?
you didn't.
I did.
What is involved in the game that you played?
Balls.
Oh,
Yeah, need a lot of balls.
are they Blackie balls or?
Well, mine were. Yeah, absolutely. Still are in some ways. Yeah. We had some bats. Not the kind you think. And
I'm not sure what kind of.
Thanks for that clarification.
yeah. There was home runs,
Nice.
bases. We did a lot of things. A lot of action out there. That was the gist of it, though.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty much all of it.
All right, so let's move on from that. Because I want to encourage you to subscribe to this podcast. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube and Rumble, so make sure you are smashing that like button, leaving us a comment, sharing this video with your friends, and subscribing to our channels. We want you to be a part of the conversation, so join us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Make sure you're helping us out by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple and on Facebook. If you like this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter. You can find us on Locals at loudanddrunk.locals.com and on Patreon at patreon.com/loudanddrunk. All right, gentlemen, we're all in the hot seat to start this podcast. This was of my own making, so I can always blame myself for how these go.
That's what I'll do.
Yeah, even if they're not yours.
So, and anyone can go first, so if you want to fall on the dagger, you can fall on the dagger first. The rule of this hot seat segment is that you have to defend something, the nerdiest thing that you like. but you genuinely enjoy it. You know, the rule is that you can't consider something that's, you know, incredibly masculine to be nerdy. Like, oh yeah, I do a whole lot of woodworking, or I fix cars on the side, or I'm really into like weight training.
Yeah,
like, no,
I was gonna say bench presses. Does that count?
Lumberjacking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cutting wood and eating pancakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck you.
I go hunting for game animals.
Yeah, great job getting after it. It's not nerdy. This is something that if you were on a date with like a hot blonde and she found out about this, like somehow, like you slipped up and told her, like, oh yeah, like my D&D character is a paladin and like maxed out charisma.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
You would be like, oh fuck, I just ruined this.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I don't know if this is nerdy enough.
We'll tell you immediately.
Fair enough.
Because that's a part of this too. Because
gardening. I have a flower garden. That counts, right?
I will let you go on that.
Yeah,
I
have a flower garden.
That path.
Yeah, I have a flower garden.
I want to jump in real quick. If you do not agree with that's nerdy enough, we get to shout them down.
Okay.
And also the same thing with yours, but we all discussed this before, so we all know how nerdy our shit is.
Yeah. I have a flower garden, which I think is, you know, it's unanticipated when I bring it up at a bar, you know, where I'm otherwise shouting at a television screen or something.
You seem like the type to plant tulips.
Go on. Yeah, and I genuinely enjoy it. I don't know what there is to say about it. I think flowers are cool.
You're a daisy
pretty.
if you do.
You
Brings over
put a
bees.
lot of work into it.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, you'd think I'd be
100%.
better at it for all the work I put into it.
Well, you have to contend with a lot of animals.
Yeah. There's a plethora of those, which brings me back to the manly thing. I'm going to kill some of these fucking animals. That is the thing.
You're veering from the path. Get
All
back
right,
to the nerdy
sorry.
side.
That is
I'm
him
going to plant
defending it,
more
though.
flowers. Yeah.
Now, if it was like a flower garden and you were just like frolicking through it on a daily basis, then maybe we could give
If
you a little
not for
more
the
shit.
abundance of bees, I absolutely would be. But it's actually, and this, I guess it makes it even a little bit more in that one direction. I just stay away from it because of my fear of these tiny little winged insects. You know, it is. They
Bugs are
basically
gross.
rule. I planted it. They own it.
I mean, are you particularly talking about your little wildflower garden
Yeah. So
area?
it's basically
very nice.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah.
It requires very little maintenance, so I can't say that I'm like toiling away in there. But it's basically just like low level maintenance. I like to just let them do the work because they're not producing anything in particular that I need. I just have it because it's pretty and because it brings over bees, and they then go over to the nearby garden that makes me tomatoes. If I wasn't so shitty at gardening.
When you first put that in, it's adjacent to your like garden.
Yeah.
I was very impressed, and still am, because that part of your project is doing very well.
It's doing very well. Yeah. Let's not talk about the other part of the project.
The other side.
We'll
which
pretend
is,
that other part doesn't exist. I'm not going to mention it again.
I love that it's kind of like you live in the projects.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But it does what it's supposed to do. It's very nice. It does its thing.
It's visually lovely, I think.
It is.
You don't need to be a young lady to enjoy some flowers. I think flowers are beautiful. It does bring in pollinators and things like that. And while I don't have like an Instagram and things along those lines, it is absolutely a benefit to go and just snap a quick picture of some of those flowers. Nice little shot there. And you send that over to your lady. And you just say, I mean, that's points that cost you nothing. She enjoys it. I enjoy it. It's beneficial for everybody. Everybody wins. It's a nice thing, despite, that maybe it's not, as masculine as, shooting a deer or cutting down a tree and, throwing it at another man at a bar.
Quit muddying the waters. You do, I would absolutely say, have the best flower garden.
I will take that. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the best compliment that I've gotten in months or years, maybe my whole life. Thank you.
This is so much a hot seat. This is freaking lukewarm at best. We need to start
I
pointing.
feel a lot better now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, this is, like I said, I'd let him follow the path. It is a bit of a softball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want you, while we're debasing ourselves for the rest of this segment, to maybe try to think a little bit harder.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like another one. I like the game Risk. Does that count?
I guess if people still played it, yeah.
I'm trying to play it right now.
All right, you need some other people.
He's just got the mission cards in his pocket. That he
I'm ready.
down
I
to
am
every now
ready
and
to
then.
rock at any moment. Just so you guys know, at any moment. Yeah, I feel like
Well,
that's all I got.
Keep thinking. Keep thinking.
I'm pondering. If somebody thinks of something for me, you guys know me pretty well.
I mean, we do, but I don't see what happens in the shadows. Thank God.
We never know.
yeah, no.
We never know your name from podcast to podcast, though.
That's true.
This is the first time we've met you, Black.
You do not know what Alvin Dark is up to in the dark.
Shut it down.
No, it's fine. Man. I
That's
gave
just his
him a
name,
pass.
man. Like, you're making it weird. Me and Blackie, we got it.
No. Go way back.
Fuck yeah.
Been playing around that flower garden for a minute now.
We've been swinging that bat at anything that came by.
Absolutely. Got a few home runs under
Well,
our belt.
some of them
too.
go wide too.
Yeah, that ain't no lie.
Yeah, it's because of those change-ups. Nowadays, everything's a change-up. So
Moses,
yeah,
what's the nerdiest thing that you like, that
I
you
wouldn't-
genuinely like?
I
and-
wouldn't say it's nerdy, but
Getting
I'm
to
really
third base
into,
with me?
No, that's just degrading.
No. Which one of them?
I enjoy comics and comic movies, Marvel specifically, and anything comic.
So how
related.
is that not nerdy?
I don't know, because it's like reading.
It's like reading?
Yeah.
It's like reading, except it's a picture book.
Yeah, but there's
One thing.
words
I
in
say
there.
that as somebody who used to very much so enjoy comics. I'm not opposed to them now. So like
But they have become
They
much
blew up.
cooler. Not cooler, but like accepted.
They're more
these days.
accepted these
Yeah.
days. Absolutely, yeah.
comic book movies, and I don't want to defend your love of them. I don't know that I consider them really like nerdy anymore. Like my mother is 76 years old. She loves.
Your mother
comic
is
book
nerdy,
movies.
though.
I mean, that's fair. I will accept that. But she loves them because she understands that they're
Like, she's
terrible.
a Trekkie.
It seems like something that you haven't figured out, but I feel like that's it. They're like an ironic action movie, essentially.
I feel
And action
like
movies
I feel
aren't
like
really
they're
nerdy.
just because action movies are kind of silly in themselves, but this is a comic, so it makes a little bit more sense that it's
How does
silly.
that make it make more sense?
Because they're just like redoing a story, like of that doesn't really lend itself to real life.
Okay.
I mean, that's like every movie ever.
Well, I would say they are nerdy, because if you ever watch these people who go to Comic-Con and they're dressed up like full cosplay
Yeah.
like that, then that's just like, every time I see that, I'm like, how old are you? Are you 30? Like,
I could see Moses doing that. Yeah, like elf ears on and shit. And he's like,
We're actually going to go this year.
Yeah,
we're going for one day this year.
holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to like cast spells on people when they offend you? Of
That's why I was on Etsy looking up spells to buy.
course you fucking were. You fucking faggot. Oh my God. Yeah, that is ridiculous.
The shield of.
How many Funko Pops do you have?
I don't know. I know it's.
It's a
'cause
shocking
I have a lot of
amount.
doubles, but it is a lot of them.
Rough estimate.
It's hundreds.
So, it's like I think around 750 of them. I mean, it accumulates to quite a sum of money.
I like how casually he says it, because it's the same way as he talks about other things that he's interested in. It's like, how many cats do you have? It's somewhere around like 8, 9, maybe 12 right now. I don't know. We got one in the freezer.
so what's the verdict on that then? Is it the Funko Pops that's more nerdy
It
that
might
you
be
do?
more
The
nerdy,
Funko
'cause
Pops are more nerdy.
Because the
in my
Funko
opinion.
Pops are pretty much just like Beanie Babies of their time.
Yeah.
In a way.
Because
in a
they're
way,
not going to
yeah.
be worth anything
Yeah.
further down the line, but
Yeah.
they're worth the bit now. And if I had the wherewithal to dig them out, I could get like a good chunk of change for
Yeah.
a couple of them.
Get
You
30
got
cents
in
on the
too
dollar
deep.
for those.
Now you are too deep into Funko Pops.
Yeah.
That it's an insurmountable task.
Your
to even
hoarder
think
is
about.
showing.
It's only in the front room.
Oh, thank God. And it is the only thing
Yeah.
in the front room.
Well, we have a lot of cooking stuff and old books.
Okay. Strange.
There's a lot of old books in there.
Just like in general, like books that you read, or just like
They're
like-
mostly like old children's books from the kids growing up and them collecting them throughout the years.
strange.
And it's just like a
Is
whole
that
bunch of like
strange? I don't
fucking Judy Blooms and fucking
Wow. Okay.
Lewis Satcher and
I don't know who that
Shit
second
like that.
person is.
So when you get these, are they mostly comic book characters, or do you
I
vary
only
it up?
collect the Marvel ones.
Because he's cool.
Well, those are the ones that I'm
He's not
more
getting those
interested
gay
in.
ones.
But I have a bunch of other one, like Star Wars ones that I just got in collection boxes and shit that were just there. They sent me two for no reason, and I was just like, oh, awesome. One of them actually turned out to be quite like worth quite a bit. It was like $300, and I just happened to get it.
Yeah.
I'm
Jesus.
just like, nice. Because
It's not worth anything if you don't sell it, though.
well, no, but it has the potential right now.
Like cash, it is only a representation of
Exactly.
value.
Yeah. On that, I just want to piggyback on that one, though. You mentioned Star Wars, which people have told me that's a very nerdy thing about myself. I love Star Wars. I only actually enjoy one of the movies, but I know a fair amount about Star Wars.
But
I take
you
an
do have a
interest.
fun Star Wars tattoo.
I do, absolutely. I've got IG-88, and
Yeah.
I got it before it was fucking cool. And
had that
HBO
a
made
long
that
time.
bullshit. Yeah, I got this fucking, like, the 90s or some shit. I don't even know when I got it. Yeah.
It's at least 20 years old.
Yeah, it's fucking ancient. It's one of my earliest tattoos.
Yeah.
So that must have been fun with the one episode where I was so determined to just get rid of the entire series in general, where you just biting your lip the entire time. You're like, you sack of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to like air my dirty laundry out here.
we have to save it for this episode.
Before that show came out, and this is why it's like it backs up the nerdy quality of it. And this is part of my reasoning when I got the IG-88 tattoo. That is one of the most obscure references, at least at the time, and for for the longest time until that HBO series, that was a super obscure reference to the series. And so it was very rare, but when someone would point it out, like I remember the individual occasions because there was so few over the years, but like one time I was on like a New York subway at like fucking 2 a.m. I'm fucked up and just like living my best life, but I'm barely functional. And like, and obviously you're on a fucking subway. You have no interest in talking to anybody.
No.
And some guy, some like white dude, like chubby looking white dude, super non-threatening. He's also on the subway trying not to talk to anybody. And he keeps like looking over. And I didn't piece together anything about it. So I was just like, oh, he's probably a lunatic. That's just where my mind goes. Mm-hmm. And eventually, like, he worked up the courage to be like, I'm really sorry, but is that IG-88 on your arm? And I was like, yes, it is. And he's like, that's fucking awesome. And he showed me his rebel tattoo. And I was like, that's cool too. In reality, I was thinking like, I didn't get that for a reason.
Yeah.
But that was part of my reasoning with it, that I wanted to get a Star Wars tattoo. And I do really enjoy the character IG-88 because the backstory is neat to me.
The backstory is cool.
Yeah.
But like in his original showing, he wasn't in it for very long.
No, it
he
was
just
just
kind of
like-
passed over.
Yeah,
Him
he
in
was
the
just
background with, like,
he was an
Bosk
assassin
and,
droid.
a couple other-
He was an assassin droid, and that was pretty much all that you knew about him. You had to read the rest of the backstory,
Yes.
which was neat. But I got it with that thinking where I was like, I don't want strangers who are cooler than me to be like, oh, that guy's got a Star Wars tattoo. Thus, why I wouldn't get something that's obvious to the general public. It's obviously a popular series. So I got IG-88, where I was like, the only person who's going to recognize this from a distance is going to be somebody who's so much nerdier than me
you need
that I'll never
know
need
the
to
expanded
explain
lore.
myself.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the show came out, and
And
totally.
got it more.
I remember laughing at you. I'm like, oh, you're gonna get so much.
I was
fucking
so
shit.
bitter when that came out. I was like, you fucking ruined this for me, fucking Disney or whoever bought this shit.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get rid of it in that episode, because also in just in general, because it's just too much. It's not like the first 3 movies are atrocious, and Jedi kind of sucks, but
It
that's
does.
just compared
It
to
does,
Empire and the first one.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I didn't even like the first one, to be honest. Like,
I mean-
I'll watch it if it's on. I'll
But
watch it.
if you-
Empire's the only good one.
Empire's the only good one. I agree with that, but I'd rather watch A New Hope than Jedi, and I'd rather watch Jedi with almost every other one except for maybe, what was the third one, Revenge of the Sith or Return of the Sith?
I couldn't tell you
Revenge of
which
the-
one was
Revenge
which.
of-
They've made
so-
ones that are like entertaining, but none of them like Empire. I think is genuinely like a captivating, good film.
Yeah.
especially for the time period. And everything that came out, like some of the newer ones, and I think that I have missed a few of those, but even like the new ones, they're visually fascinating. There's cool elements to them, but they're just not good. They're just money grabs. Like,
They're the same story, just done again.
Yeah, you're
and
just- you're
they
just
make
doing it over
those-
and over.
that prequel better in retrospect, because that used
Yeah,
to
you
get
remember
so much
how
shit, but like
the prequels used to get all the shit.
it was just C-SPAN in space. That,
Yeah.
and we're like, oh no,
C-SPAN in space.
We're gonna
You're
slap
not
Star
wrong.
Wars.
Yeah, no,
and we'll
he's
slap
right.
Star Wars
smartest
on
thing
it.
I've ever heard you say.
It's like I get it, but I don't care.
No.
Yeah,
Like-
now by all accounts, the prequels are like, yeah, they were fine because of what happened afterwards.
Yeah, like Phantom Menace had Liam Neeson, and you're like, all right, I can't give it too
Oh
much
my
shit.
god, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I've actually heard people say, oh, obviously the original, the prequels were fine. Fine, good, great, whatever. It's like, because now we all have to focus on the 3 more that they made.
But see, that's like that selective memory where it's like, you hate Bush, but then you get Trump, so Bush is good again.
Right,
It's one of those types of scenarios because if if you really look back at pod racing and Jar Jar Binks and Anakin as the various younger ages we've seen them,
And just
like
whining
this
the
is
entire
dog
time.
shit.
Yeah.
This is just you punishing yourself because you think that you're doing something nice. You know, it's like doing heroin or something along those lines. It's
No,
just
heroin is
it's
more
not good
rewarding.
for-
Yeah, but like Disney has effectively ruined the entire series. Like if you watch, what was it, episode 7? It's A New Hope.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
exactly.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing on repeat.
And then from what I have gathered, because I didn't watch the other ones, is just you have, what is her name, Ray?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
she's just like a Mary Sue, like she can't do anything wrong. There's no real
she's played
character
by
development.
Daisy Ridley or something. I believe that's the
And
actress's
and
name,
spoiler alert, she's Palpatine's daughter or something like that. But
yeah,
she's also called
once again,
Skywalker. She
same
just chooses
exact
her last
story
name.
from the first 3 films. Yeah,
It's-
it's just a money grab.
And then there's more. There's there was like a solo movie. There was Rogue.
There
Squadron
was.
or whatever.
Rogue One was pretty good.
Okay.
Rogue One was okay.
Yeah.
I watched that.
Because
I
it
did get
didn't
fucked
have
up
to
for
be
it, but
too strongly attached
Yeah,
to
it
anything.
was a different part of that story.
Yeah.
my feeling is like, as far as just watching them and back to the comic book thing, like if you make it visually entertaining, that's fine. I don't need you to be giving me fucking Casablanca. You know, that's not why I'm watching these movies. If you put in a bunch of cool droids that do cool things and there's a lightsaber battle, then I mean I'm basically on board. You
That's
know,
why I call them popcorn movies. They're good visual input. You can sit down and just kind of like zone out and
exactly. Yeah,
watch
you
it.
get the fucking THX on the screen, and
Yeah,
that's all
yeah,
that you need.
yeah.
You know,
But the problem too with those movies is you take like established characters like Han Solo and Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker, and you just kind of denigrate them so you can prop up these
Yeah.
other characters you just created that I have no affinity to. And why are you destroying these characters to make your new character seem better?
Yeah, and it's like
that's what you've got to do if you want to keep the
nostalgia
franchise
is
going.
such a double-edged sword, especially so like the newest Indiana Jones just came out to like not great success.
He says it's the last one. I've never heard that before.
Well, he's like 80 years old.
Yeah.
But
He's got another
the
10
same
years in him.
thing is
That's
like,
3 more movies.
And Hollywood, they're just kind of like trying to really capitalize on nostalgia and shit, and they can't just let a story be.
Yeah, and that's
and
just
then
it.
You gotta like take all the worth out of it by like ruining it. Because like I remember I saw the first, I guess episode 7 with Ray, and like being just like, or maybe the 7 or the next one, the one with the French director, where they made like Luke Skywalker a bitch, like a bitch.
Okay, yeah, I think that is the next one. I don't know.
I think that's what it's probably 8, whatever. They just like tarnished all the characters that you kind of enjoy from like your childhood, and it's like I don't know. I just think I
feel like it's like the equivalent of like the bottom line is that sometimes things are good when they happen one time. It's like you tell a really funny joke in front of your friends and we all laugh, and the next thing that you do shouldn't be to tell the exact same joke again.
No, you got to let it go. You just got to let it go.
Remember that thing happened. It was enjoyable for everybody, and now we move on to another thing. And basically, what they do with that, they just keep telling the same exact joke.
They just beat it to death, and then it's like,
and they ruin the joy that happened when you told it the first time.
So that one is Star Wars: The Last Jedi,
yeah, okay,
and that's directed
so hard
by
to even tell them apart because there's like 15 of them now.
Ryan Johnson.
I think it's like Rian Johnson. I think he's like
It looks like it should be pronounced Ryan because
Yeah.
it's just Ryan, but with an I instead of a Y. But like it might be Ryan. Like
Fucking French.
But,
ruin everything.
Yeah,
Even our
like
names.
particularly in that one, I remember seeing like the first one of the new, we'll call it the new trilogy, whatever. And it was like, I think that was like J.J. Abrams or something like that. That did
Yeah,
the
I
first
believe
one,
so.
and it was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then that second one, whatever. I know you just told it to me. I already immediately forgot what the name.
That was The Last Jedi?
Yes,
What's the
it's
one
a-
after that?
I'm looking that up right now.
Rise of Skywalker was.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, the 9th movie. Or
Didn't we?
whatever.
Yeah, didn't we already see that in the original trilogy?
Well, they're kind of like recasts of like the same storyline at its like core. But yeah, that second one, and it's like Luke's like, or what? The Jedi need to die, blah 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 blah, and he's just like a bitch in his robes on his
Yeah,
like.
he's like fucking Spider-Man 3.
I do like how robes are like an indicator. It's not consistent necessarily, but there's like a subtle indicator that the amount of robes that you wear denotes your evilness in the Star Wars universe. And I feel that like a little bit because I feel like if I had like these types of powers, like I was kind of able to, step on my fellow man. There's only a few exceptions who could stop me. I'd be wearing fucking capes and robes everywhere. I'd be wearing them right the fuck now. because that's just badass. I can't get away with that because, like, I would probably get jumped, and rightfully so, because that's a bitch-ass move. But, my God, if I had, like, whatever it is, force powers and what have you, yeah, I'm all about that.
So you have the first in the sequel trilogy was The Force Awakens. That was J.J. Abrams.
Yep.
We obviously talked about The Last Jedi. And then the last one is The Rise of Skywalker, like you said, Justin, and that's also J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, because there was like this whole thing because they brought in that Rian Johnson guy for the second one. A lot of people were upset with that movie because they were banking on nostalgia. The original trilogy ends like Luke's going off to like figure out what he is as like a Jedi, and then it's like, oh,
he's transitioning to be a Jedi.
He's a bitch that's isolated himself on an island on some like water planet, drinking blue milk and like.
I hear the bitterness in your voice though, because you wish that you had blue milk, but we'll never.
I don't
have
drink
it.
white milk.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly, because it's a poor man's blue milk.
Fair. You've exposed me.
All right,
Blue milk would taste like blue, I think, right?
Yeah,
It's just like a
blueberry,
flavor
or blue
by itself.
raspberry.
Yeah. I don't know what that really.
It's not really a thing, but
It's
kids
just
love
it's
it.
its own unique flavor.
It's just
All right,
blue.
Dan, go ahead.
All
We
right,
don't
so
need to
since
talk
we
about
got
blue, though.
Justin Good and Disgusted, let's move on to the nerdy thing that he has to defend.
Oh, yeah,
that he
yeah.
genuinely enjoys.
I'm a D&D nerd. I play D&D with some of my friends every other week. Well, I don't know if I can really defend it, but I like it.
It is the nerdiest thing
it is.
by far.
It is.
It's
It's
so
fun.
fucking.
Oh, we haven't gotten to my answer, though. So.
Yeah, that is fair.
man.
That is fair. I was always jealous as a kid. I had friends that got together and played D&D. And I never had like the ambition enough to be like, can I play with you guys? Because I just wasn't that kid. I'm like, my sentiment was like, then it's just not for me. I will not play it. It's just something that'll never happen. And then I don't know, like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, a little bit before pandemic, some of my friends started playing or had been playing for some time and invited me to play with them. And I really kind of found it's nerdy as fuck. It's crunchy as fuck. There's so many fucking things. There's a lot of books. And it's something for me. I'm not like a very good like role player person. I have some degree of imagination, but I'm more on the crunchy side. So I like crunching like the combat numbers and stuff like that. So yeah, it scratches an itch, and it's led into other super nerdy things that I do. I paint models and figurines, and I bought
that's pretty
3D
nerdy.
printers. Yes,
Yeah.
I bought 3D printers. I have multiple 3D printers that I print game pieces with, and then sit in my garage and paint.
I'm picturing him with like one of those like monocles
Yeah.
where you can like drop
That
it
goes-
down.
yeah, like a
like
jeweler's
he's doing like fine
eye.
gem work. Or
I
something
do
like
not have that, but I do have the light that's built into a magnifying
There you go.
glass.
Exactly. Yeah, that's on the same level.
Yep.
Yeah,
No,
you'll have that. You'll have
100%.
that monocle one day.
Yep.
I need that for my car.
Yeah, I hope Christina doesn't listen to this episode.
Oh,
I know she knows.
She knows. She knows if I'm out in my dungeon of a garage, I'm doing nerdy D&D things.
I'm glad I found my tentacles.
I think it took me years. Like Christina and I have been together for years before like I fully admitted to her that that's what I do.
It was like a sit-down conversation. Like, I've got to tell you something, baby. And she's like, "Oh my God, do I have a venereal disease?" No. But I've been playing D&D out in the fucking garage.
Well, I think I got exposed when COVID happened and we had to play over the computer.
Yeah.
Also, I play with Moses too, so fuck you. You can't give me any shit.
Yeah, I don't know why you're trying to make fun of him. You
super
Funko
nerdy.
Pop motherfucker.
I was saying I was happy I found my tentacles last night.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I
Yep.
thought they were in another bag, but another player had them because he's going to go paint them.
You know, if I didn't know what we were talking about, that sounds very sexual.
He does have like 6 tentacles in his
Yeah.
backpack.
Yeah. It's like a Jap thing.
Some that you printed and some
I
that
know,
I got
yeah,
through.
I made some of them for you.
What is
Wow.
that, hentai?
Yeah, it's a hentai. thing.
Yeah. It's actually a specific word for the tentacle porn, but yeah,
That's
it's,
probably true. Yeah.
I would believe it with you.
Of course, he picked a character that can summon tentacles.
out of nowhere. It's
Fucking
terrific.
weird.
Dungeons and Dragons has gotten a lot of shit though, because I think what was it like the '90s where they were trying to say that it was satanic.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
so
the
you
80s,
had the
everything's
whole
satanic.
satanic panic
Yeah.
that happened. So, like,
I love that
the West
because it
Memphis
rhymes.
3 was kind of like blamed on pretty much anything in the late 80s, early 90s, like murders and stuff like that. They were just so, particularly in Bible Belt areas, very quick to put that on. You know, the satanic panic. Oh, it's because they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and you know. that
I
sort
love
of shit.
like the mental and this is a bit of a divergence, but like the mental gymnastics involved where you just go from it's rock music to D&D, to rap music,
Yep.
to video games.
Yep.
Yeah.
And these things are all satanic, but then they stop being, because like Satan like figures out that you're onto him.
That's the greatest trick he ever pulled.
Oh shit! Change it.
Yeah.
They're onto us.
These Christians figured us out.
Knuckles, grab the handbag.
What the hell? I had this figured it out. I had it figured out with Van Halen. Now I got to move on to rap. God damn.
Absolutely.
But and even like today, like I wouldn't say D&D has gained the acceptance that like we'll call like the culture of comics and stuff like that, but it's had its own little like resurgence in the past.
Absolutely.
Like, 5
Yeah.
years.
What's that
It's getting
show?
there.
There's Critical
Stranger
Role. Stranger Things had.
Stranger Things is what I was saying. I don't know what the fuck Critical Role is, but I get
That's
the
a more
reference.
nuanced.
It's a more
thing.
nuanced.
Yeah,
thing,
it
but
sounds pretty nuanced.
Yeah. But Stranger Things had its bit because they use a lot of like D&D terminology and like the Demigorgon.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's set in that time period
Yeah.
when nerds were playing that and
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
Yeah, I did not give a shit about that show. Just
It's
didn't.
all right.
Is it?
It got worse over time. Now I'm
And
like,
it started off bad, so.
it started
Oh,
off
like,
like
all those kids are like 20 years
Yeah.
old now.
Yeah.
It's like.
So you must have graduated.
That's what happens with any show when you have kids, though. Like,
Yep.
watch classic Married with Children.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then get to like the 10th season, and like Bud is clearly 30 and
Yeah,
still living,
yeah.
and he's supposed to be smart, but he's still living at home.
Yeah.
And Al still makes nothing apparently, but is still able to fund all of these things.
Yeah, well, listen, selling shoes is a good business. That's a big shoe, brother.
Oh, that helps with the all the fat women jokes that are made on that big shoe. It's actually it's just a big shoe for your elephant-sized feet.
Yep. But and you know what? I have a good time with my Dungeons and Dragons. Mm-hmm. Not mad at it. It's literally because like I don't have a whole lot of free time, but like the way my brain works, especially like I said, we only play once every 2 weeks. So it's like, it's not a whole lot of playing, but like I said, the painting and shit. And like, I like fucking around with the 3D printer to print like game pieces and stuff like that. So it's like opened up a whole bunch of like weird little hobbies for me.
Making tentacles for Moses.
Yes.
Oh, I got a bag full of monkeys too.
I made him a whole bunch of monkeys at one point.
Nice. I won't even ask.
You're better off.
Yeah, that was a weird campaign.
But yeah, and it's fun, like any of that stuff. And it's like, I don't particularly have time for like video games or anything like that. But I know someone likes a certain
Well, I mean,
video games.
my nerdy thing would rival yours mainly because it kind of ripped it off at the beginning.
Yeah.
I still play those Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
Literally, like
I was afraid you were going to say that you'd just like do math for fun.
I
Gentlemen,
was a mathlete.
my abacus.
I'm a mathlete. Yeah. I mean, technically, he plays math. He does math for fun if he's playing D&D.
Yes, I do.
But like even like this morning, I woke up at because I'm trying to get ready, to wake up earlier and earlier
Yes,
for
yeah.
a new job that I have. So I woke up at like 5:30, and I'm like, I don't really need to do anything right now. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I can play Final Fantasy VI today, and I absolutely fucking love that game because that one does. I could go on and on about whatever because half of the games in that series suck anyway.
That's fair. That's fair.
There's the select few that I like. Are like I would rival that with any movie or book that I ever read.
Mm-hmm.
The last one that I'm familiar with is the classic Final Fantasy VII from fucking forever ago, and that had an incredible storyline, visuals, and I would agree with the movie comment. It rivals some of the best films in that regard. I'm not familiar with the ones after.
It's good storytelling.
It's good storytelling. The ones after 7, some are good. I like 9. 10 is good. But anything after 10, I'm kind of like,
In full honesty, I played a couple of the early ones. 7, obviously, I was real big into. And post 7, I got real big into 8 in the beginning and then fell off because it kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Which one had that water ball thing?
Oh, that's 10. That's
10?
Blitzball.
Yeah. I remember playing that one and then 10-2.
Yeah.
Which I was
that
like,
one-
I don't understand why
I'll
it's called
say-
this, but
I'll say this, Dan, and I forgot about your affinity for those games, but it's really hard. Like, as soon as you said this, that, sometimes, you wake up, you got nothing to do. I'm still picturing you sitting on the sofa with, like, kettlebells, like, lining your arms, like, getting a quick workout in while you knock out
He's got little
couple
like
of levels.
finger weights for when he's playing the game.
I would do
Doing
that.
push-ups during the load scene.
I would do that if I didn't tear my labrum. from. So that's the only reason I'm not working out at that hour. And I'm like, well, I'm injured. Might as well play Final Fantasy VI because at least I find joy in that.
Yeah.
But no, like for at least that game, it came out in 1994 and it tackles issues like prejudice.
6?
Like 6.
Okay.
Because it was 3 on the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
But what was it, like teen pregnancy?
Yeah.
The literal end of the world. And like that's halfway through the game. It's like, all right, you think you did everything up? Nope, world's over.
Yeah.
Now you got to beat the game.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you have something, like, it's any story, any movie, any book, a video game that tells of that sort of hopeless environment.
Yeah.
Whether you're reading, like, the Gulag Archipelago or you're playing Final Fantasy VI, you're like, holy shit. The
Talk
whole
about Final Fantasy VI and the Gulag Archipelago.
That's great. Yeah. Honestly, Gulag Archipelago
Well, I think
is
they
a
called
band
it the
name.
Gulag in 7, didn't they?
What's that?
Wasn't the Gulag in 7? That was one of the prisons that they had that they were escaping from, Barrett and Cloud.
Well, that's 7.
It's 7.
Yeah.
Wasn't that called the
I think they
Gulag?
were just escaping from a city in that one.
Yeah, more or
I
less.
think it was like one of the company cities that they had in that
And then I had to do CPR in that game.
Yeah,
at some
yeah.
point.
on a child, and you're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then you're using a trained dolphin to climb up some scaffolding
Yes,
or something
yeah.
like that. Like, that makes no sense.
Like, what's that show? The Quest? Dolphins reminded me of that. A trained dolphin. Sequest. Yeah.
Sequest, DSV.
Yeah. Not
Darwin.
to digress too much, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan, so I'm like, oh, this is all fine. All right, so that's my defense that even if the games are nerdy, and even if the games are like, oh, it's turn-based, and you select everything from a fucking menu, if you pick the right one, like it's a baller story, like 6, 7.
You're in it for the story.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like rereading a book to me.
Yeah.
I
can vibe with that. Yeah.
You know, it's funny too, because like when those games came out, so like I first played 7 our family had just gotten the first PC we had, and it was like the first time I'd seen like a multi-disc game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It ain't no Oregon Trail bullshit.
No. And like, and
Ain't no dysentery up in this
No,
motherfucker.
no. And whereas I fell off with like Final Fantasy after like 8 kind of ruined it for me, there was another game called Legend of Dragoon, the same type of game.
I've heard of that.
I played that.
Yeah. Which, for whatever reason, I really resonated with that game. And like 4 fucking discs on the PS1, and oh my god, they actually tried to do a port it over to like new control systems for like the new system. Evidently, it was god awful. So because I thought about like essentially it's an emulator on.
Yeah.
And it evidently was terrible. So I'm just let a good story lie and don't revisit it because it's probably not going to live up to what you thought it was.
That's like when I went back to play Star Fox 64.
Oh my God.
And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to have a fucking seizure.
Like, why does it pictured so differently in my head
I
than
don't
when
know.
I reply?
Isn't that strange?
It doesn't. I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
I remember awesomeness.
As soon as I turned it on, I was like, no, I've done something wrong.
Yeah. I was like, this has corrupted this file.
Yeah.
It's because at that time when Star Fox came out, it was like, what, 92, 93, 94?
It had to be somewhere around there, yeah.
They didn't do anything like that.
No.
And now you're used to other things running at faster rates. Like, it's been trumped.
A more polished.
There's more polished games out there, more polished shooters out there. It's like going back and playing the original Final Fantasy VII. You're like, oh shit, you're just a collection of polygons.
Yeah. I did that, and I'm like, I forgot how much fucking reading was in it.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to just play a little bit.
Yeah. It's funny because that's the exact opposite. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get so frustrated by this. That's right. I forgot to equip a fucking ribbons. Damn status effect. All right, gentlemen, you want to move on?
Let's move on.
So, interesting thing happened to me this week.
Okay.
We talked about on the podcast how we got my kid's sister into a house.
Oh, yes.
And I vocalized to her that I'm like, all right, if this works out, it's great, but, we got to watch out because you have a roommate. And and so, long story, I'm not airing her business.
No.
She's not going to have that roommate anymore. And now her sister's going to move in with her, to make sure everything's all right. So that got me thinking, let's share some roommate stories.
Oh, boy.
Because I'm sure we've all been in situations where we've had a roommate or two roommates or multiple living situations where...
I feel like I actually don't know anything about this from Moses, and I feel like he's been living in the woods before we met him. Which I guess means that...
fair point.
Yeah.
Well, then he's probably got a good story about living with a wolf or something.
yeah. He was just like in a wolf den. Now, it would have been raccoons, and you know it. They're all eating leftover McDonald's out of the dumpster. He's getting the lion's share. 'Cause
I've
he
had a
wastes-
couple of roommate instances, and they're nothing terribly remarkable, but there was the one time, because there's the three of us, two of us worked at Outback, and the other guy worked at the phone company. Mm-hmm. And we never had a phone. Like, we rarely had running water, too. But he worked there. And he could
Wait,
easily
were they
just-
raccoons, just to clarify? Was this some sort of a den?
No, because I would live
It's a
with
proper
one
building.
of the chefs at Outback, and we would always have food and beer because we would just steal it. And so it was just like cases of Yingling in the fridge, and that's it.
Good old Yingling.
Because that's what we used to get a lot of that there. And it was either that or Foster's, and Foster's is fine for a couple, and after that,
Yeah.
that's a bit much.
I don't
think
want
that's
either
fair.
one of those things.
So we would always get and we were working odd hours because it was, like from 3 to 11, 12 maybe, and then going out and partying and doing drugs all between. And we never had a phone. We rarely had electric, but we would just kind of flop
Right.
and take a shower and go if we had running water. But I lived kind of close to my mother, so
Otherwise,
I
it's
had
just a
to.
garbage bag and a fork.
It's more just like a fort when you're kids, but it's not in a tree.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like it was a roof over our head for when it rained, which kind of leaked a bit, but that's we ate well. So,
Was it with a refrigerator box? Like, what were you?
I mean, we had a cooler full of beer, but
Trying to survive a nuclear holocaust with Indy in there.
Yeah.
and it was because he was the one in charge of doing the getting the electric and the phone bill, and he worked there. He was like, "Why can't you just get this turned on?" Because he used to work on the lines back when you had landlines, if you remember that.
But if he was a raccoon, then he was working on the lines physically and couldn't actually bring them into the, what was it, a cardboard box that you were living in, or a refrigerator box?
No, he was good with the solder.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to question the tie-in there.
He was like a rocket raccoon. I don't know.
He was good with a solder. That's the first time I think I've ever heard you say that sentence.
Solder, yeah. It's a song name, at least.
I used to solder, and I've never heard someone say he's good with a solder.
I'm a real good with solder.
Pretty handy with a solder.
What? He was like, give credit where credit's due. I've never met
guess,
anybody better.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Okay, oh boy, I'll take off next. I'm just trying to triangulate where I should start. All right, so many years ago, an opportunity came up where me and one of my childhood friends were both looking to move into a new spot at the same time. And I foolishly allowed myself to be in a roommate situation with this guy. And like I said, we were very cool up to that time. Been friends since probably kindergarten age. But we had never had to live together every day, be in each other's space. Very quickly, it's so hard. I have so many fucking stories and I don't even know where to start. Basically, here's ex-military dude was trying to go and get his disability rating sorted out. So he wasn't working. But I don't know if it was something with the GI Bill because he was going to school and that gave him some sort of stipend towards.
Yeah.
The post 9/11 GI Bill.
Yes,
Yeah, he's trying to get the rent paid by the government
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Yes. And that was fine. That paid
yeah.
for his rent and stuff like that. I never had issues like that with him, which is a blessing. Yeah. So he was home every day. And I went to work every day. And I don't know how, but I'd go to work, dishes are clean, nothing's on the counters in the sink. I would get home 8 to 10 hours later, and every piece of kitchen equipment we had was used and dirty on the counter.
It's like you had a trophy wife who had a mistress.
Yes. And so I would get home, we'll say 5, 6 o'clock on average, and he'd still be there in his bathrobe playing Call of Duty,
Oh, yeah.
which is all he did.
Yeah.
And drinking, and he could not handle his alcohol.
I was going to say, yeah.
So that caused a lot of fucking issues.
No.
Because I want to use one pot to make some macaroni or something, or some bullshit freeze-dried ramen, and I have to wash I have to find it under the 19 plates and.
No.
And it's what did you eat today? Oh, I made some eggs. How did you use everything in the kitchen?
But I fucked it up 17 times.
also, you ordered those out.
It's what the fuck? All right, so that's the most benign. This guy somehow, as you can probably tell by my tone, we're not really friends anymore. Had the most amazing, super cool, beautiful girlfriend at the time. Yeah. Never made any sense to anybody.
No.
But she was just...
I do remember that. I was bewildered the first time.
Yes.
It's very confusing. Yeah.
She was lovely. And, like, well, first of all, so we both smoked cigarettes, but lied. He had been with this girl for years, and maybe she was just naive or dumb.
Yeah.
But, like, he would blame the fact that he smelled like cigarettes on me, that I would, like, just come up to him and blow cigarette smoke on him.
He would do that when we worked together in Belmar.
Yeah, that made sense.
He would bum cigarettes off me.
Yeah.
And be like, don't tell her. I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Right. So,
not my problem.
Yeah, come to find out, he would, like, blame me like I'm some fucking weirdo just walking up to people, exhaling cigarette smoke on them to make them smell like cigarettes. And he was really shitty towards her.
Yeah.
Like I said, he could not handle his alcohol. And, like, what? I'm not going to give him any excuses. Like, that's all on you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to drink like a fucking fish, then, do it right.
There was one situation, I can't remember the full details of it, but I'll give you the gist. It was a family party for his girlfriend's family. I think her sister was maybe getting engaged or something like that. It was in around, we'll call it like Avon, or like that Bradley Beach, Avon, Asbury area.
No.
Basically, the story as I understood is that someone bumped into him. He was supposed to be the D-Day. And then he got all sour and then drank himself fucking retarded.
Because somebody bumped into him.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. He felt, well, I don't think her family particularly liked him, so they were probably like hazing him a little bit. Yeah. Which he, as far as I'm concerned, somewhat deserved.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I got a call. I'm in bed because I've worked the next day. It's like, we'll call it like a Friday night. I typically work on Saturdays. I get a call. We'll call it like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's him. He's unintelligible on the phone. Something, he's talking about the street lamps. I'm trying to figure out where the fuck he is because he's clearly in a bad state.
Yeah.
I kind of assessed that he was in Avon. For those you don't know, Avon has these really unique, like old style street lamps. Mm-hmm. And then he goes off the phone, gone. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to worry about that.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, I get another phone call. And this time it's from his girlfriend, who's an absolute sweetheart. And she is a disaster. Like, she's sober, but she's just so upset. They are following him. I almost said his name. I had to check myself. At this point now, through Belmar, he's been, like, running away from them down the road, stripping his clothes off as he goes essentially down 71, down the shore corridor. And they can't get him in the car. He threw his phone at her. Like, and it's his girlfriend, her mother, and, like, her sister.
How embarrassing. I don't know how you could recover from that.
Yeah.
It happened.
And, like, I guess he's shouting a bunch of, like, suicidal shit and all this stuff like that. So then I'm like, fine, keep an eye on him. And I will, I don't live particularly close to there.
Yeah.
But I will head up the shoreline, 35 to 71, essentially. And then,
that's a drive.
Yeah, and I'll
bring the butterfly.
I'll try to find him. So I'm like, just keep an eye on him.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I pretty much get up to, like, Manasquan area to jump onto Main Street, like 71, and they lose him because he runs onto the train tracks and is now running down the train tracks. So I'm
like exhausted hearing.
Yes. This has all happened in a point of like an hour and 15 minutes at this point. So I'm driving up and down all that length of shore towns, Bradley Beach, Avon, Belmar, trying to find this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Up until about, I don't know, 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. I get a call, like, lost him. Can't find him. She feels terrible. She's got her mom in the car.
Yeah.
It was probably like a 60-something-year-old lady. They're going home.
Not trying to be awake at 2 in the morning.
Yeah. And, she thanks me and says, you know what, his fate is his fate. At this point, he's being a massive asshole.
Exactly. And I've been a drunken asshole, but Jesus Christ.
So then I'm driving home. I get another call from her. Okay, he called me. He's getting in a cab at outside one of these bars in Belmar. Okay, fine, great. I will get home and I'll wait for him, make sure he gets home. So I drive home, I wait, and it comes to like 4 o'clock in the morning. No one shows up.
Yep.
I'd be at work in like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I call her again, and I'm like, homeboy ain't coming.
Yeah.
And then I think we both just decided he's dead to us.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah, he ended up being picked up by the police.
Yeah. It sounds like that was the inevitable.
For running on and off the train tracks.
Yeah.
He didn't speak to me for multiple days for that one, and good. And there's one more much severe one that I'll share, and I'll be very careful about how I share it. There was a night where I was having, we'll just call it like a fling with a girl. Went to the bar, we got, zooted up and go back and have some fun, understand? We go out to the bar, we're going to have some drinks and have a good time, and then come back, have a different type of good time. We get back, my roommate's got to be close out the bar, so we'll say like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, still there in his robe, playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare, screaming on the headset. Like, fuck in hell. But whatever. We go to my room, we'll just tune it out, whatever. We do our thing. I wake up, we'll call it like 3:30 in the morning, and I'm still drunk essentially. And I roll over and I pass my arm over the girl. And then I feel another person.
Yeah.
And I am incredibly fucked up. So I'm now I'm doing that physical math where I'm touching one arm and I'm reaching over further. And I'm like, there's another body here.
Yeah.
I have to be drinking. This has to be a nightmare. Drunk.
Yeah.
This has to be a nightmare. But then I keep doing it, and I'm waking up more, and I'm like, there's a third person in this bed.
Yeah. What the fuck did I do last night?
Yeah. And I get up and go over to the light switch, and I turn the light switch on, and there's my roommate, completely naked.
Nice.
Wedged. So, I didn't have a big bed at the time. I had, maybe a full-size bed.
Yeah. It's enough room for two people.
Yeah, so I was on the edge. The girl was in the middle. Not even in the middle, actually on the other side of the bed. And he had wedged himself in the 8 inches of space between
Hey, listen, the heart wants what the heart wants.
between her and the wall. Now, fortunately, she was under the blankets, but he was completely naked.
Yeah.
And there was just this one dead eye staring at me.
Oh my God. I don't even, I'm just running through my mind. I'm thinking of what I would do. And then I have to check those thoughts because I have no idea how to react to that.
I was literally,
How do you contain that rage?
I don't know.
I did not know if I was in the real world or
Yeah.
a dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it did not compute.
It doesn't make any sense.
So then I'm trying to, it felt like an eternity. Maybe it was 2 seconds. Maybe it was 30 seconds. I have no idea. And I'm staring and I'm doing that strong whisper thing. What the fuck are you doing? Because I don't want to wake her up.
Right,
yeah.
Nobody needs
Because
to
not
see
for
that.
nothing, that is a terror. If
We
you're
are
the girl in
in-
that, I can imagine your anger, but I don't know who this person is, but I'm just imagining the females that I've known in my life, this has got to be such an alarming situation. Because it's a naked man. I mean, I would feel obviously deeply uncomfortable with that, and yet I wouldn't feel under threat or vulnerable in that way.
Oh, no, I knew I
imagine
wasn't
being
under
a young
threat.
lady, yeah, you would be like, there's a naked dude next to me. I did not ask him to take his clothes off.
Yeah. So it's I'm doing that yo. Because this is already a very bizarre circumstance. If she wakes up,
Well,
this is 1,000-fold more bizarre.
yeah, that's so much worse.
That has to be dealt with.
Yeah.
So and I'm doing this rage whisper at him.
Yeah.
And it's just still the unblinking dead eyes staring at me.
I would have gouged it out.
I don't know if he thought I couldn't see him or because he was shit-faced.
Yeah.
Shit-faced.
It could have been that drunken state where he genuinely didn't think you could see him. Because God,
No,
yeah, I've been fucked up.
Yeah.
Never like that. You know?
it's like
when my
based
clothes
on
come off,
purely
it's
movement.
because I chose that, and I will remember that.
I had to-
and I'm not cuddling up next
So,
to strangers.
Okay, so eventually, he realizes that I know he's there.
Yeah.
And then the only words
could
that come
you
out of
see
his
me?
mouth are, but she's naked. And then I'm just oh.
I would have.
That's way worse.
She would have been awoken
Yeah.
by my lunging at him.
Yeah.
And now you've just
My
got.
blood flash
I
boiled.
was gonna just imagine that scenario, and I'm looking forward to the ending of this. But I had to
Yeah.
jump ahead. My brain just went to that place where now there's two naked men wrestling.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it didn't come to wrestling. He was
must be my birthday.
weirdly catatonic, and I didn't want to wake her up. And he's wedged between her and the wall.
Yeah.
And like I said, fortunately, she's under the blanket, so I know he didn't get to do
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
because
yeah.
God forbid.
Yeah.
But like I had to like go down to the end of the bed. I'd like drag him off the
where
bed,
you grab
vertically down the bed
Yeah.
because I couldn't drag him over her
Yeah.
without waking her up.
Oh my God.
Then I had to drag him through the house
Yeah.
to his bedroom, to which I tried to slam the door on him, but I slammed it on his fucking leg, and I
He
just left
deserves
him there
that.
lying on the floor.
I would have closed it a few more times, probably.
I may have. I don't know. I was in blind rage. Absolutely blind rage. And, like, yeah, he didn't speak to me for multiple weeks after
Poor
that. Like,
baby, yeah. How could you be so cruel to him? That's your friend.
but, like, he when he eventually did, he's like, oh, man, you know, I got so drunk tonight. I don't know what happened. I'm like, being that you're coming to me with that conversation.
That's what you say when you, like, puke in somebody's toilet.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, or something fairly mundane.
But, like,
it's
if
not
you're-
what you
if
say
you're
when you're
coming to me-
encroaching upon rape.
And you're saying that sentence to me, that means I know you know exactly what you
Oh, yeah.
did that
If he
night.
was blackout, then he wouldn't remember it at all.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You'd
Which
be
still wouldn't make it
confused.
okay,
Right.
but at least it would make more sense, I
Yes,
guess. You know,
yes.
something like that. No, yeah, it's
And those are all the
good on
stories
you
I'm
for
willing to
containing
share.
yourself,
Well, let's
I can't
end
top that.
Let's end this podcast so we could listen to more of them.
I will tell one real quick.
Yeah.
So I was in the Navy down in Virginia. A bunch of my buddies and I got an apartment. I literally, you guys can make fun of me for this because you obviously already knew it. I lived in the closet.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
He
right.
finally came out though after those 4 years.
Oh
for
yes,
you.
because that's I never heard that joke.
Oh, yeah. I'm just gonna keep telling
and-
it. I know
any
it's
of
not
the-
funny, but
Dan,
it makes
you
me
deserve
laugh.
a Bud Light.
Why would it be punished for coming out of the
That's
closet?
a trans thing, brother, not a gay
He's
thing.
transitioning out of the closet.
Gays have better taste than Bud Light.
My line for that gag, by the way, is just like, oh yeah, I sleep in a physical closet, not the metaphorical closet that surrounds you every day.
fair, yeah.
So people usually shut up after I did that.
In
because they
fairness,
didn't
it was a
understand
nice closet.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
I imagine
It's a little bit better than my bedroom right now.
Like Laszlo's closet from Real Genius.
Oh, God.
So there's a number of stories I can tell about this, just because he was 20 in the Navy. Everyone got blackout drunk practically every night, and every weekend especially.
They sang songs, did gay stuff.
So one of my buddies was seeing a girl, and she was homeschooled, and incredibly, it's just like unpersonable. We would be out, and so it would be us and my other roommate's girlfriend. She was super sweet. Loved hanging out with us. So we'd be watching TV, and then this girl would come out with a yoga mat, and there's a lot of room to do your yoga shit. But she would unroll it right in front of the TV and just start stretching in front of us.
That's
This is like a
terrific, though.
fucking video on Pornhub.
So, yeah, we didn't get along very well. I used to say a lot of shit to her because I would just get drunk and just start saying shit and make her cry because I'm an asshole. Tying that in, though, because she wasn't very, socially apt.
Yeah.
She didn't know what to do.
She missed that training.
But she liked to sing.
Oh, great.
And so she would just start
Perfect for the Navy.
She would just start randomly singing, whether people were there or not.
Okay.
She would just start opera singing
So we're
One
getting
of those,
Carmen.
yeah.
I was just like, oh my God. And sometimes we made a joke of this. It would be to rap songs. So it's just like, trying to catch me riding dirty.
Wow. Love this. Love this.
Oh, that is terrific.
And so that used to annoy the ever-loving shit out of me.
Can't
and
imagine
so
why.
fast forward to when I am in college. I am in my late 20s, early 30s, because, went to the service, worked for a little bit, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So I'm staying in a house in Glassboro after you and I were roommates.
Right.
And the landlord was staying in the the master bedroom, and his girlfriend, wife, I don't know what the situation really was, she did the same thing.
Oh, my God.
She came home. I guess she thought no one was there, and she just starts not opera singing, but just singing. And I'm like, how? How did I get this again? Oh my!
It's kismet, Dan.
Oh, that's terrible, dude. I would think I would be cursed.
One more about that house too. This is real quick. I'm an incredibly light sleeper, and I warned them, listen, guys, if you do anything, it will wake me up. So I used to warn them, if I'm asleep, do not be surprised if I got up and be like, can you stop doing what you're doing?
Listen, you prefaced it, so I think that's all
Yeah,
fair game.
yeah, if you
then.
give the warning, that's fair. Yeah, some people
Dan,
are
I'm just blinking.
Can you do it quieter?
So one dude who was the roommate, he had like a pit bull too. That's a whole nother story that we don't have time for.
Yeah.
But he was listening to music on, I think it was on his phone down in the kitchen, and I was trying to sleep. It was late. It was like midnight, 1 a.m, whatever. And I go down there and I'm like, hey man, I know we talked about this, and I'm sorry to be an asshole, but like, what's going on? Why do you keep doing it? And he just starts breaking down and crying.
Oh my God.
Oh, shit.
And I was just
He needed a shoulder, Dan, and this is the only way he knew how to ask.
and I was just like, whoa, dude, like, it's okay.
Be as loud as you want. Goodbye.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even like that. I was like,
Right? Yeah.
like, you're kind of not getting out of this because
Yeah.
we talked about this, but whatever other shit you're going through, I don't want to be involved in that. So I'm just going to be like, all right, dude, you're obviously going through some shit right now, but just like, just turn the music down a little bit. You don't have to listen to it on full blast in the kitchen.
Holy shit.
I wouldn't even know how to respond.
It was fucking bizarre.
Yeah. What was wrong with him? Do we know?
No. I was very arm length, like distance from those guys. Like I was just, I'm here for like a semester or two.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to be friends with you. I'm here to pay the rent.
Yeah.
And I will, like, if you need me to do
I'll
something,
be out
do
of
it.
your
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and you stay out of mine.
If you need me to let your dog out, I will let your dog
Right.
out.
We'll do the mutual respect thing, but we're
it's
not.
a business arrangement,
Yeah.
not a friends thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't know what was going on with him. Never pried. Not my business.
Yeah.
And then like I will probably never contact you again. You'll never contact me again. So why even try? Why even
Right,
bother?
right,
Like,
right.
this is just like I need somewhere to stay. You need somewhere to stay, and obviously this is the landlord's house, and he's living here. So we're not friends.
No.
We're just
No.
That's just it,
Oh,
though.
holy
His
shit.
father would always go down into the kitchen at night and tell him that he could not play the music that loud. He went out for a pack of cigarettes 4 years ago, and we just haven't seen him since. And
There's
you had to
also no
open
milk
up
for
that
coffee in the morning. he was supposed to bring that back too.
Oh goodness gracious. Well, after all that, I think we're about done here, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Anything you want to close on, or is that depressing enough for all
No,
that?
I think I've said enough.
Yeah. I've done a little bit of bitching. I feel like clarified. Is that the word?
I'm gonna go back and rethink my life.
Yeah, you should. That fucking shirt looks terrible on you.
Feels nice.
Both of them, in fact.
This is a.
I like that
Magnum PI.
you're wearing a graphic wife beater.
Yeah.
With
Okay, we can move it on and close out the podcast, guys.
Another one of my nerdy things.
We can always revisit more roommate stories,
Yes.
but we do have to go. So be sure to subscribe to this podcast, leave a 5-star review, check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can also follow us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you enjoyed this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter at loudanddrunk.locals.com and patreon.com/loudanddrunk. So for Justin, Moses, and who the hell were
Blackie?
you again?
Blackie.
I'm not. No, we're not doing the technical difficulty thing.
Blackie.
Ah, God damn you.
I've had a great time being here.
That's your
I'm sure
Christian
you
name,
have.
right?
Yeah. We use that on the field.
I'm Dan, the host, the guy, the producer, whatever the hell you want to call me. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, this is Loud and Drunk.
Bye-bye.
Woo!
Can they just gently push the like button? They don't have to smash it, right?
They have to smash. Always got to smash.
Resolute.
Yeah.
All right.